Okay, hello and welcome back to the Kyuzo podcast. First of all, apologies for the interesting co-star who I just can't get off the couch, and apologies for the lack of videos over the last little while. It's been a very busy period, so it's been very difficult to get as much content up on the YouTube channel as we wanted to do. So today's question is all about training in your 40s. It's a specific question, which was how do I continue to train with the young guys and compete with the young guys on the mat and in the gym? The short answer, if you don't want to watch the rest of the video, is I don't. But if you'd like and you're interested in how to maintain your training quality right into your 40s, continue to listen for a little bit after this. You got any suggestions before we begin? No, we don't want that suggestion. You don't want to know what he's licking right now. Okay, so first of all, if you don't receive the blog already, if you don't receive the newsletter, go to kyuzo.ie and fill out the short form there. It's just going to ask you for your email address. You can just pop that in there. You'll receive a new newsletter every week. It's got jiu-jitsu all over it, so videos, tips, tricks, articles, etc. from our website, and any offers or anything else like that we're doing in the academy are on there as well. So do get in touch with us via that, and you'll be in touch and in tune with what we do every single week, whether it's a new video here on YouTube or whether it's a new blog on the thing. Are you going to do that the whole time? Honestly, mate. You'll be able to get in touch with us there as well, also, and reply to us and ask any questions and have any comments that we have. And we'll answer any. Sorry, you're really distracting me here. Really distracting me. We'll answer any comments and any questions that you have there as well. So this week's specific question was about training in your 40s and how to kind of continue to train as you get older and to keep your training quality really, really high, and also avoid things like injury and so on. So the first thing I'll start with is anybody, and I mean absolutely anybody, can continue to train right into your 40s if you're sensible. If you're not sensible, you'll train for a few days and then you'll collapse, get injured by somebody or injure yourself. But if you're smart and if you can look after yourself, you're going to be able to train for a long, long time. So when I was about 35, I started to think about when I would stop training and start really being kind of good on the mat. And I said, it'll probably be when I'm about 40. When I hit 40, I started to say, well, it's probably going to be when I'm about 45. And now I'm 45, I'm starting to think maybe it'll be when I'm 50. But I'm also looking around at some of the 50-year-olds that I see training, and I go, you know what? You're not dead at that stage either. So your perspective might change a little bit. You definitely have to do a little bit more sensible training and smarter training. But the good news is it's definitely not over, and you can definitely continue to train with really high quality and improve. And that's a really important part of it. You're not just there making up the numbers and going through the motions. You can improve technically, and you can even improve your fitness a little bit and your strength, stuff like that, over time as well. So let's get into it. I've got 5 points I want to make, and I've even written them down. That's how well prepared I am today, because I usually don't prepare, as many of you will note. So my first suggestion for you today is to pick your partners. This isn't always possible. Sometimes you have who you have on the mat, and we'll get into picking your battles later on. That's point 3 on this little list of ours. But pick your partners as much as possible. Go with people who have the same ideas and same goals as you, but not necessarily the people who are the same age as you. The most important consideration for me is people who are safe. So people who are coming up and training and are thinking about this as a learning experience as opposed to a battle every single time. So some people are great at the start of a roll, the first minute, until they start to lose, and then they become really aggressive. So what you need to do is pick people you can trust, for whom winning or losing is not a big deal. Getting tapped or tapping somebody is not a big deal. And you can just enjoy and try to improve each other and try to develop your skills together while you're training. If you go with somebody who's hyper aggressive or has the potential to injure you, then maybe either A, don't go with them. And sometimes I'll teach people a lesson. I'll turn around and I'm saying, I'm sorry, we're not training together. And they look at you a bit funny and you go, well, you're just too aggressive for me, mate. I think I'm going to get hurt if I train with you. And they can call you all the names under the sun. But remember, you're in your 40s. You need to look after yourself. You need to get up for work the next morning and so on. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, your job is to look after you and to make sure you can train the next day or the day after that. So picking your partners and selecting people who you can really trust to have a good role with, have a competitive role. It doesn't mean that you're going to go soft and light and not, really make any effort in it, but have a competitive role that's nice and technical, and that when you get caught in a bad position, they're not going to really grind something on and hurt you. Or when they get caught in a bad position, which is more common, they're not going to try and jump out, spaz out, or do something stupid that might injure one or both of you. So having those partners is a really important thing. Make sure you have some of them around the place. On the occasions when you don't have them, because of course not everybody can pick their partners. Sometimes you're up at a class and there's only 5 people there and you might not have anybody you know and you really trust there. On those occasions, you pick your battles. We'll get to that in a second in point 3. Point 2 is short and intense. That's my recommendation for you. Shorter sessions, but more intense. Shorter rounds, but more intense. Or round on, round off, but more intense. Now, when I say more intense, what I mean is that you're not just coming up and having crappy arm wrestle rounds with people who are just kind of holding you in position or you're holding them. That you're coming in, you're picking the picking the partners that you want, and you're having good, intense rounds with them. So you're having a round where you're really moving around, you're really changing position quite a lot, that you're going on the attack or on the defensive quite a bit, and you're having a good quality round. So very often what happens is when you get to about 45, as we were saying there earlier, which is my age, you start to think to yourself, well, I'd better just roll with other older guys who are my same weight or what have you. But those people might not challenge you. You might be more advanced than that. And coming in and just rolling with people who aren't really moving at your pace is no good for you. It's not fun. It's not very enjoyable. But if you pick around, even with somebody younger who you can trust, again, back to point 1, and you say to yourself, I'm going to go really, really hard for this round, really quick, really fast, make it a really intense round, and then happily take the next round off so that I can do it again in 5 minutes time as opposed to in 1 minute's time, that can be a lot better. So you can train intensely with people who are stimulating you, giving you good feedback, making your training fun and enjoyable, and then take a long rest and go again. So make it more intense over time. So for example, I trained 4 rounds last night, just 4 rounds. I was coaching the class, so I didn't get to train earlier. And then I just did 4 rounds sparring. I didn't do any drilling, just 4 rounds sparring. But it was good quality sparring with people I trusted, who I went quite hard with and quite fast with. And I really enjoyed myself. Picking your battles is really, really important. And that's down to picking your partners for one. But when you can't pick your partners, or even when you do, picking your battles within the rounds. This kind of requires a little bit more experience and maybe a little bit more intelligence. That might come in time, or if you have it already, you'll know what I mean. It just means, for me, in my personal opinion, not scrambling half as much as I used to. So I pick the scrambles that I'm either sure I'm going to win, or I'm sure I'm going to be in good shape in, that I'm going to be in good posture in, not going to get my knee twisted or turned or anything like that. So if I sweep somebody, maybe 10 years ago, I would definitely have chased up every sweep, tried to get on top and tried to finish. Now, if I sweep somebody, I'm kind of making sure that if I get up, that scramble is going to be safe from me. In other words, that it's not going to be too injurious or potentially injurious. So if I'm coming up and my legs are slightly out of shape, if I don't feel like I can stand up safely and get up with my knees are underneath me and my feet underneath me, I'll go, not for me. Likewise, if I get stuck in a leg entanglement where somebody's looking at trying to footlock me, heel hook me, or whatever it is, and I train with heel hooks all the time. And as I stand up, I think to myself, my knee isn't 100% safe here. I'll happily sit back down and allow the guy to attack the heel or try and defend a safer, more intelligent way rather than trying to push or squeeze or, bounce my way out. So this means picking your battles and picking the things that you want to fight for. It can also mean tapping early, of course. It can also mean if you're in a position where you're on top, you've got a submission, and you know that if this person really bounces and leaps their way around, or you feel that potential that they're going to have I don't like the word spaz, but you know what we all know what I'm talking about when I mean it, that they're going to have a spaz, that I just let go and just pick my battle and say, hey, you know what, pal? You have that one. That one's for you. It's a freebie. Fourth on the list is little but often. So this isn't possible for everybody. I am aware that I'm in a very privileged position in as much as I am at the gym every single night, so I can train little and often. But I think rather than having those marathon 2 hour or 2.5 hour sessions that you might have, rather than going to the long open mat where you do the 10 rounds, if you're in your 40s, think about 3 or 4 rounds a night, good quality drilling beforehand, good warm up, etc., etc. Then good quality drilling, good education, learning your new skills, learning your new techniques, going over your old fundamentals, whatever it is. And then a few rounds, not too many, because I think especially in your 40s, the more you teeter towards exhaustion, and you start to tip towards that point where you're absolutely wrecked, there's where the injuries come in. There's where you might kind of aggravate something old that you did before, or potentially, like I say, turn an ankle, turn a knee, hip, elbow, shoulder, whatever it is. So staying within the exhaustion boundary, not hitting the red line too much. Obviously, you still want to do it because you still want to challenge yourself sometimes, but pick those times when you want to do it, little but often, and making sure that you're staying safe the whole time. I keep repeating myself about the staying safe thing, but listen, it is part of it. Your primary job is to make sure you train tomorrow. Just keep remembering that, keeping that in mind, and you'll be all set. The last one is keep yourself in shape. Now, I know, again, speaking from a privileged position where I can prepare my own food, I've got some time at home here. I'm still quite a busy guy, by the way. It's not that I don't have an 8 hour regular 9 to 5 or whatever you want to call it, but I'm pretty busy, and I've got kids, and I've got lots of other projects and stuff like that to get on with. So I am very, very busy, and my day is pretty full. But I make sure every day that I'm having adequate food, particularly adequate protein. I'm making sure I'm recovering well by trying to sleep as best as I possibly can. Sleep is a big one, by the way, and a lot of times people kind of let that one lie. They think about, I'll be fine. I'll have my 6 hours one night, and I'll catch up with that sleep at the end of the week or whatever it is. Good 8 hours sleep a night makes a massive difference to your recovery quality, which is the real big thing. The real big difference to you in your 30s and you in your 40s, and definitely you in your 20s and you in your 40s, is your ability to recover between sessions. Sometimes for me, I'm still the fittest guy on the mat. I'm still move really well. I'm still able to pace higher than a lot of other guys. But the difference is they can get up and do it again tomorrow. I really can't if I'm going hard. So I need to recover better. I need to think about my sleep. I need to think about my hydration, and I need to think about my recovery, generally speaking, in terms of food, supplementation, whatever it is you do. So, from my opinion, there's really just like a few little small pieces that you can do, and you can continue to train right the way through to your 40s. And like I say, I'm looking around the mat now, and I see guys in their 50s, and they're flying, absolutely flying. I'm thinking to myself, I've got something that I can learn from them when I look at those guys. So just stick to those points. If you have any other ones in your any feedback or any questions or anything like that, please do get in touch. Use the comments on YouTube here. You can also get me at barry@kyuzo.ie. Any of the social channels will get to me as well. And if you have any recommendations for videos, etc., we've got a lot more coming now in the next few months, including I'm going to sit down with Nathan tomorrow, and we'll hopefully have that video out by as early as the end of this week as well. And we'll chat to him about his New York fight, his fight in PFL, and in Madison Square Garden tomorrow as well. And that might be one for the younger guys. So do get in touch, stay in touch, and I'll chat to you soon. See ya.